Just where you are. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Welcome to BBC London with me, Assad Ahmed. Coming up on the programme, concerns that a plan to make electric vehicle owners pay the congestion charge will cause minicab fares to rise and slow the shift to EV cars.
When there's a drop in the number of drivers available in central London, that will affect the fare. This job is based on demand and supply.
Pricing, yeah.
Exactly. So
fares are going to go up, there's going to be fewer Ubers, and no one will want an EV.
Absolutely.
Transport for London says charging for driving electric vehicles in central London is necessary. Also on the programme,
I'm just going to say it out loud, I think I might be your son.
whatever you do, don't miss this man's incredible story of how he chatted to a man in a shop in West London who turned out to be his long-lost father. Why some athletes who are flying to Japan in the coming days to compete in the Deaf Olympics are still trying to raise money to get there.
I never ever imagined as a little girl that I would ever be in that golden coach in the very middle.
And we hear from the East Ender who's become the new Lady Mayor of London and an honorary Pearly Queen too. Good evening. After years of drivers being encouraged to switch to electric vehicles for environmental reasons and for lower running costs, those days might now be numbered. For the first time, London's congestion charge could include electric vehicles. Well, not surprisingly, many EV drivers aren't happy. So our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards, has been looking at why it's being done and what the impact could be.
Big changes to the congestion charge could be just a few weeks away. For the first time, cleaner electric vehicles, EVs, will also have to pay.
You don't get range anxiety?
No. I charge at home.
Kohler has been a minicab driver in his electric car for 6 years. He thinks fewer drivers will come into central London.
There's going to be a drop. And when there's a drop in the number of drivers available in central London, that will affect the fare that riders are going to be paying because there's going to be a surge. You know, this job is based on demand and supply.
Pricing, yeah.
Exactly.
So fares are going to go up, there's going to be fewer Ubers, and no one will want an EV.
Absolutely. That's exactly what's going to happen.
The plan from January is for the congestion charge for diesel and petrol vehicles to increase to £18 a day. For the first time, electric cars will have to pay £13.50 daily, with electric vans paying £9. Opponents say the timing is wrong.
We've already seen the increase in electric vans, electric cars in the capital, and it really has improved air quality. We just think this decision may backfire on London and backfire on the environment.
Transport for London says it has to charge EVs to keep the scheme effective. As they're popular, without charging, congestion will get worse and worse. The unions say lots of sectors will be affected.
What happens often in London spreads throughout the UK, and it's not just about private hire and taxi, because there's a lot of other groups affected by this. Businesses, couriers, for delivery couriers, this is an issue as well.
The final decision will be made by the Mayor in the coming days, but old incentives to encourage the switch to electric vehicles seem to be ending. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Yeah, that's our top story tonight. But now to an extraordinary story you are just not going to forget. Last week, a man walked into a shop in Ladbroke Grove. Being a friendly 21-year-old, he strikes up a conversation with another man in that shop. They walk outside and continue to chat. The young man then realises that the stranger he's speaking to is his long-lost father. It's an incredible story which was caught on camera. Oliver Archer told Alice Bander-Cravey all about it.
Dear Dad, on October 27th, 2025 at 9:50 p.m, you and I spoke for the very first time. What started as an innocent conversation in a corner shop between two strangers became a moment that changed both our lives. Because that night, we found out you're my dad. So I've gone into the shop, I've got these 2 Sainsbury's bags, as you can see on the CCTV, and I'm just trying to scan the parcel. A gentleman walks in, kind of walks around me, and I'm standing in his way, and I've moved out the way, and I said, "Oh, sorry, bro, let him through." He's picked up his shopping, gone to the checkout, essentially. So I hear him speak on the phone, and I was trying to work out what language it was, and in my head it was just screaming Turkish, Turkish, Turkish. So I kind of paused him, and I was like, when he put the phone down, I said, "Oh, you speaking Turkish?" And he was like, yeah, Turkish. And then I said, "Whereabouts in Turkey are you from?" And he said he's from Istanbul. And I went, "Oh, my dad's from Istanbul." And then he proceeded to tell me I looked a bit Turkish.
And this is key to the story, because all Oliver knew of his biological father was a first name, an area of London, and the fact that he was originally from Istanbul.
I thought a lot about you growing up. I'd ask questions nobody really wanted to answer. See, Mum used to change the subject to try and make me forget, but something inside me could never. I remember in 2010, she had this old computer always logged into Facebook. I'd wait until she left the room, would search your name, no surname, no photo, no idea of what you look like, just your first name, your ethnicity, and a bag of hope.
Bravo, quick one. Let me have a chat with you before you go out. A quick conversation. Yeah. Random one, but...
Yeah, like I know there's a lot of pressure. Like, "My name's Oliver, does it ring any bells?" And he said, "Yeah, it does." And I said, "I'm just gonna say out loud, I think I might be your son." By that point, we both kind of stood there a little bit awkwardly and kind of froze. And then, yeah, it was a lot to take in at that moment.
And you were actively searching for him?
Especially when I moved to this area, knowing that he was from here. I used to walk into Turkish barbers and I'd mention his name in a conversation, or I'd go to, a Turkish restaurant and I'd be like, "Yeah, why not? I mention his name." And then very recently I did a DNA test on Ancestry.com. This is just by pure coincidence. I did this about a month ago in hopes that I could finally find some sides to his family. And I was brought with no results. And I kind of got to a place of acceptance. I was like, okay, cool. And then just by pure coincidence, 2 weeks after doing the DNA test, the conversation happened, the whole story, which is why you guys are here, happened in the shop, and then it was, yeah.
As for what happens next, Oliver and his dad have agreed to officially meet up for the first time this weekend.
I hold no resentment, no judgment, just curiosity and hope. We both have questions, I'm sure, and in time, we'll find the answers together. Take your time, Dad, and I'll take mine, and I'll see you on Sunday.
Alice Bandukravi, BBC London.
Extraordinary story. That's got to be the most extraordinary story of the year for me, and fingers crossed for father and son this weekend when they meet up. OK, now a moment to take a look at some more local stories in the headlines today. Police have arrested the second of 2 inmates mistakenly released from Wandsworth prison last week. 24-year-old Brahim Kadur Sharif was caught in the Finsbury Park area of London after being spotted by a member of the public. These pictures were filmed by a student. The other prisoner, Billy Smith, handed himself in to police yesterday. Building firm Higgins Homes plc and 4 men will go on trial next year over the death of a mother who was crushed by falling bricks after dropping her children off at school in East London. Michaela Bohr died when a pallet containing more than 2 tons of bricks fell from a crane at a building site in Mile End 7 years ago. Now, over 25 years ago, an official report branded the Metropolitan Police as being institutionally racist. 8 consecutive police commissioners, including the current one, promised to address the problem with little success. Now, in the latest report, the Met Police's very structure has come under criticism, saying that discrimination is baked into the force's leadership, governance and culture. Here's our Home Affairs correspondent, Sonia Jessup.
For decades, reports have criticised the way the Met polices black communities. This latest review says racism is built into the force's systems, leadership and culture, harming black Londoners and its own officers.
We have had to take phone calls with people that are in tears when the organisation has turned against them. We have supported members through misconduct systems when we can see quite clearly that there's a miscarriage of justice going through that. So we are not surprised, quite kind of almost relieved that this report has come out.
The review details how black officers and staff are viewed as entitled rather than ambitious, as not knowing their place rather than being assertive, and as disloyal for speaking out about racism. The report says black Londoners are more likely to be seen as suspicious or aggressive, black children perceived as older than they are, their vulnerabilities and structural conditions like poverty and school exclusion ignored.
So, for example, being much faster to use intrusive police tactics with black community members versus using their discretion to use softer tactics with their white counterparts. So we see higher levels of tools such as stop and search, strip search in young children. We see lower levels of out-of-court disposals when they have the opportunity to use their discretion to criminalise people to not.
The Met commissioned the report, but no senior officer was available for interview today. Scotland Yard said it welcomed the findings and recognised the scale of the challenges. The Mayor's office said the Commissioner must reframe his approach.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
It's more than a quarter of a century since the Met was found to be institutionally racist over its failings to investigate the murder of Stephen Lawrence. Today, his mother, Baroness Doreen Lawrence, said there has never been an honest acceptance of racism. The police must stop saying that change is coming whilst we continue to suffer. That change must take place now. Janet Hills retired from the force 4 years ago after 30 years of service. She believes problems have got worse.
I probably wouldn't join now. I would want to see different leadership. I would want accountability to look different. I don't feel that as a community we get a fair shot at holding the Commissioner and other senior leaders to account.
The report's author, Dr. Shireen Daniels, said change can only be measured in the lived experiences of black Londoners and officers. Till then, the work remains unfinished. Sonia Jessup, BBC London.
The Mayor of London says he's disappointed after the government failed to say if it will review visa changes which could affect a number of London's transport workers. It means they could be forced to leave the country after the government changed its skilled worker visa rules. Our political correspondent Susanna Mendonça is in Westminster with more on this. Susanna.
Yeah, well, we know that the government wants to be seen to be tougher on immigration. Over the summer, it brought in new immigration rules that meant that it raised the skills threshold for foreign workers. Now, that's affecting many TfL workers and also workers from other sectors like prisons, for example. Now, today we saw TfL workers, members of the RMT union, going to Downing Street here in Westminster, handing in a letter. Now, they are foreign-born workers, but people who have permanent contracts of employment with TfL, but because of these changes they won't be able to apply to be on what's known as the skilled workers list, and so potentially they could see their visas expiring within the next few weeks, and the RMT union says that's not fair.
We've got 63 members of our union and there's other workers affected by this, employed by Transport for London, who are going to be deported. These are workers who are on permanent contracts of employment, who were given every expectation they had the right to remain here in Britain. They've started to build families here. And we think this is just wrong. We're not here to argue about the broader policy. We're here to say this just ain't cricket. These are good people. They're in a special case. And what we're calling for is an exemption. We want them to pause and we want them to reconsider.
Now, among those affected is Avi Kera from West Ruislip, who's originally from India, came in on a student visa. He told Sunday Politics London how it was making him feel.
We were being treated as garbage, trash, just to use us for those years and throw us away.
Susanna, I understand this whole issue is causing a bit of friction between the government and the mayor. Is that right?
Yeah, it's quite a thorny issue because on the one hand, you've of course got a Labour mayor who wants to talk about the positives as he sees them of immigration for London. But then you've got the Labour government, which wants to be seen to be tough on immigration because it's an issue that a lot of voters out there care about. Now, last month we saw the Deputy Mayor for Transport writing to the government about this issue, wanting to arrange a meeting, not just about the human impact, but also about what he described as the operational consequences, because of course it will cost TfL more in terms of recruitment, in terms of training, if they lose these members of staff. Now, the government responded, but not in the way that City Hall would have liked, because they said that they would not be able to have a meeting with City Hall. Now, this hasn't gone down well. A spokesperson for the Mayor of London told me these are transport workers who have given dedicated service supporting Londoners during the pandemic, and said that the Mayor thinks it's wrong that visa changes are impacting current staff in this way. way. Now, the RMT union told me that they have had positive discussions with the Home Office, but that's not what the Home Office said to me. They said that migration must come down and those already working in the UK on skilled worker visas would be eligible to remain in post. So no real movement on that as far as we can see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Susanna Mendonça in Westminster, many thanks for your time this evening. Now, you're watching BBC London on Friday, the 7th of November. Still to come tonight.
I never ever imagined as a little girl that I would ever be in that golden coach in the very middle.
Yeah, gearing up for the biggest show in the city, we meet the new Lady Mayor of London ahead of tomorrow's parade. Now, this time next week, thousands of athletes will gather in Tokyo for the Deaf Olympics. Unlike Olympians and Paralympians, deaf competitors don't get government or lottery funding to take part. And that means each athlete has to raise thousands of pounds themselves. That's not easy. And Lakshmi Gopal caught up with an England footballer who's still desperately trying to raise money with just days to go.
GB athlete Lucinda Lawson is having to fight harder than most to compete, with her biggest obstacle not training but finances.
I was nominated to go to Tokyo GB football and I'm really proud to represent my country. Also, it's a big thing for the deaf community. I feel that it's such a cultural thing, so I'm really proud to be there.
She's competing in football at her 4th Deaf Olympics, international games for deaf elite athletes. They don't get the same funding in the UK as Olympians and Paralympians, despite the Deaf Olympics long predating the Paralympics. Lucinda's hoping to continue scoring for Team GB, but like the rest of the British Deaf Olympics team, she must raise £4,000 to cover costs including kit, accommodation and training. The charity UK Deaf Sport loans the money, which the athletes must repay.
With our deaf team, of course, we're all within the same community, the deaf community, so it is very small. So some of us with the 4 or 5 players will have the same friends. We're asking the same people, can you donate, which isn't feasible. And the deaf community can't pay for all of us to go. So it does make it more difficult for us to kind of collect money and raise £4,000 per player.
And if you don't get the funds, what will it mean for you?
I'll owe Deaf UK Sports, meaning that I'd have to pay out of my own pocket, which I shouldn't have to do. I mean, I'm representing my country. I think the government really should have a pot where we can use. Worrying about money in the future for other students is not right.
Our key ask to the government is that there needs to be a policy change in the recognition and funding of Deaf Olympic athletes and the Deaf Olympic course.
The government said it provides £1.2 million a year for grassroots activities in deaf sports and couldn't fund high-level athletes outside of the Olympics and Paralympics. For Lucinda, it's a long road ahead, as she's not yet raised a third of the money she needs. But as she's flying out to Tokyo on Monday, she's trying, for now, to focus on the football, not the finances. Lakshmi Gopal, BBC London.
Yeah, fingers crossed for Lucinda. Now, staying with football, and Tottenham defender Kevin Danso has told BBC London that players remain 100% behind new manager Thomas Frank after 2 of his teammates appeared to blank their boss at the end of Saturday's defeat to Chelsea. Well, ahead of tomorrow's match with Manchester United, Danso spoke to our sports reporter, Chris Legg.
Helping out at the Tottenham Food Bank, a charity held dear by Kevin Danso, born to Ghanaian parents in Austria and raised here in England in Milton Keynes.
In Austria, my parents being from a different country, had loads of support from the community, and that's why it's so close to my heart, and I'm happy to be here, able to support such a good cause.
At the end of Saturday's defeat to Chelsea, Mickey van der Ven and Jed Spence ignored their manager's request to clap the fans. The players later apologised to him, and their boss has said the matter is closed.
It's led to talk that maybe not everyone was on board with the manager. Can you assure fans that
everyone in the dressing room is behind this new manager.
Of course, I should say 100%. You know, we speak amongst ourselves. It definitely wasn't anything against the manager, like Mickey already said and like Jed said. It was just a frustration about the game. You know, it's always difficult to lose, and sometimes people forget that. And there's nothing against the manager. We all enjoy playing under him. You know, I mean, he's done it a few times and it hasn't ended in a goal. It's ended in an assist, but it's just amazing to see that, and you know, it gives the team confidence, especially after a defeat against Chelsea.
Back in May, 200,000 fans celebrated on the Tottenham High Road after Spurs beat Manchester United in the Europa League final. What was it like for you to be at the heart of that and part of a team that ended that 17-year trophy drought?
Definitely one of the highlights of my career, you know. It's just an amazing feeling. Couldn't quite believe it when it happened, but it's an amazing feeling. It has lifted a hunger in me and the other lads as well and the club. And that's the goal, you know. We just want to compete very well for trophies, and hopefully we win another one real soon.
Tomorrow lunchtime, when Spurs face Manchester United in the Premier League, they'll be hoping for that winning feeling once more. Chris Slegg, BBC London.
Now, after nearly 700 years, this weekend's Lord Mayor's show through London is being renamed to mark the fact that there is no Lord Mayor this year, but a Lady Mayor. It's accurately being called the Lady Mayor's Show. And with that top job is a real East Ender who's also fulfilling another dream. Anna O'Neill has been to meet her.
Dame Sue Langley is getting ready for a weekend of firsts.
I used to watch this sitting on my granddad's shoulders, you know, wrapped in a warm scarf and seeing the whole parade go past. So to be part of it, let alone in this, will be absolutely amazing, but I have to say slightly surreal.
She takes office today as the first Lady Mayor of the City of London, and as such, she'll ride in this golden coach for the first time.
I never ever imagined as a little girl that I would ever be in that golden coach in the very middle.
And while she embraces the role's tradition, Dame Sue also has plans to keep it up to date.
The role of the Lady Mayor is the ambassador for financial and professional services in the square mile. But I think the word square mile, to me, square is slightly old-fashioned, and it's not, and I'm not. The city is innovative. So if I had one aim, I'd like over the next year to unsquare the square mile. Vanessa!
But there's another wish she had as a child growing up in East London that's about to come true.
I cannot wait to make you the first pearly Lady Mayor of the City of London.
Oh, Vanessa, that's amazing. As a child, I wanted to be the pearly queen because they were so shiny. I so wanted to be a pearly queen. And my gran, not only a prolific knitter, used to make was a peacemaker, made clothes, and she made me a waistcoat covered in pearly buttons. And I thought that was the closest I was going to get. But somebody spoke to the Pearly Association, and just for a year, I'm going to be the Pearly Lady Mayor.
Now all we've got to do is make you a hat. There was a synergy, East London Girls, and then I learnt about this wish for her to be a pearly queen, and I thought, well, it's on my patch, right? I can make that happen.
Pearly kings and queens from all over London came to the Church of St Mary Magdalene on Sunday.
The Pearly Kings and Queens originated in London's East End 150 years ago, with working-class business people dressing up and raising money for charity. For the first time, they'll also be part of the Lady Mayor's show.
Tradition is brilliant. Tradition and history, I think, make us feel kind of warm and rooted. They feel stable. And it's one of the great things about the city. But we also need to gently flex with the times.
Over in West Ham Park, near to where Sue grew up, they had this to say about her achievement.
She's done really well, and it's nice to hear about somebody who comes from a background that people can relate to doing so well.
We'll be very proud of her because she's a woman, and it's her first time, so it's good.
There's been 2 previous female Lord Mayors out of 696, so I will be the 697th, but I will be the first to take the name the Lady Mayor. And to be honest, it never occurred to me to be anything else. And I'm not a lord, I'm a lady, so it's just who I am.
Anna O'Neill, BBC London.
It makes so much sense, and you can watch the magnificent Lady Mayor show, or Pearly Lady Mayor show as she will be, on BBC One from 10:45 tomorrow morning. It goes from Mansion House in the city to the Royal Courts on the Strand and back again. Trust me, it's even better if you can go. It's free and a fantastic day out. And if you are going, you'll want to know what the weather's going to be like. Jen, how's it going to look for the thousands of people who'll be there?
I've got good news, really good news. If you are making that journey tomorrow to go and see it, it is going to be dry, there will be a little bit of sunshine and it will be mild as well. It's been fairly cloudy today. We have had some outbreaks of rain, nothing particularly heavy, and the sun has come out in places as captured by our weather watchers. And over the weekend, there will be a little bit of sunshine. It might be a touch hazy, but there should be plenty of it. And we are expecting the weather to be mostly dry, as I say. If we take a look at the bigger picture, first of all, we've got this weather front which is moving through as we head through the night tonight. That's going to bring some outbreaks of rain and then eventually it clears away. So this is how things look through the night tonight. Here's that rain. Will be heavy in places, but not for very long. Most of it will clear away by the time many of us are up and about tomorrow morning. And the temperatures overnight still really mild, 11 or 12 degrees Celsius. So this is how we start the morning on Saturday then. A little bit misty, a little bit murky in places, quite a lot of cloud first thing. But as the day goes on, you can see that cloud starting to break up and that sunshine will be coming through. It's going to be another mild day tomorrow as well. Those temperatures up to 13 or 14 degrees. So not quite as mild as it has been, but still above average for this time in November. Now, Saturday night, we have clear skies for the most part, so it does mean that it's going to be a chillier night than we're expecting tonight. Again, the chance of a little bit of mist developing, but those temperatures getting down to 4 or 5 degrees. So Sunday morning is going to be feeling that little bit cooler. But a lovely start to the day on Sunday, actually. Plenty of sunshine. Again, it's going to be a little bit hazy. Into the afternoon, there's the chance of that cloud building and maybe 1 or 2 showers, but they will be few and far between. Temperatures on Sunday, again, 13 or 14 degrees. So that's the weekend. If you're heading out and about, it looks decent. Into the start of next week, we are expecting it to turn a little bit more unsettled once again. So here's the outlook then. You can see Saturday and Sunday looking mostly dry, fairly mild. A little bit of rain to come on Monday and Tuesday, but then it gets warmer again as we head towards the end of next week. That's sad.
Yeah, thanks very much. And you're right, I'm so glad it's going to be dry for the Lady Mayor show as well tomorrow. Fantastic news. Well, that's it. I'm back at 10:30 with our late news tonight on BBC One. But do watch this programme back on the iPlayer if you want to, especially if you missed the story of a man walking into a corner shop in West London and unexpectedly finding his long-lost father. Incredible story. It's also on our website. Whatever you're doing this evening, till I see you later, have a very good evening. Bye-bye.